يهني الدواني تدوسين المصاحب. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We are honored to have with us guests at Radio Islam International from Lebanon, from the Aman School of Excellence. They are currently the guest of Africa Muslim Agency. They are traveling across the length and breadth of South Africa. The kids that we have with us are from the Beqa Valley in Lebanon, and they are orphan kids. And we know the great position that Allah Rabbul Izzah has granted to the orphan kids. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, Ana wa kafilul yatim kahatain. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam gestured with his fingers and kept them close to each other and said that me and the one who takes care of the orphan will be so close in Jannah. We also told in the hadith that one of the ways of softening our hearts is to rub our hands over the hair of an orphan. May Allah Rabbul Izzah grant us true love for the orphans. So we have a number of guests with us at our studios, and we begin by introducing them. We have Brother Hamza. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Then we have Brother Umar, who is from the AMA. He's also based in Lebanon. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Then we have Brother Yaman. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
And we have Sister Zainab. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Brother Hamza, how has your trip to South Africa been so far?
كيف كانت رحلتك لهلا عجبك فيه؟
It's so good. It's all people. It's good and beautiful people and beautiful places.
Tell us a bit about yourself.
خبر عن حالك بالعربي ولا ترجم؟
أنا اسمي حمزة. أنا فلسطيني من سوريا عايش بلبنان. وأنا يتيم.
شو حابب تصير لما تكبر؟
بس أكبر بدي أصير businessman.
So mainly Hamza is introducing himself. He's a Palestinian refugee from Syria. He sought refugee for the second time from Syria to Lebanon after the war happened there. He's an orphan, and his dream is to become a businessman, inshallah.
May Allah Rabbul Izzah make it a reality that he fulfills his dream. Then we have Yaman. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Tell us more about yourself, Yaman.
I'm Yaman Hilmi, and I am 15 years old, and I am from Syria, a refugee in Lebanon. And inshallah,
Are you in school at the moment?
Yes, alhamdulillah.
What grade are you in?
I'm in grade 9. Yes, I'm in Aman School of Excellence.
MashaAllah. And what is your favorite subject in school?
I think English.
English, MashaAllah. Yes. And what do you plan to be when you're big? What do you want to study?
Inshallah, I will be in future, inshallah, international Islamic singer.
Inshallah.
And inshallah.
Perhaps you can begin, you can sing in a sheet for us.
زملوني دثروني من شتاء أنقذوني أنقذوني بح صوتي حان موتي أينكم لا تسمعوني لا تسمعوني هل جاهلتم أم بخلتم أم عميتم أن تروني شل طرفي مات نصفي جف دمعي في عيوني زملوني دثروني من شتاء أنقذوني أنقذوني.
MashaAllah. Brother Umar, perhaps you could explain to us the meaning of the nasheed.
So Mainly the first two words of this nasheed are Zammiluni Dathiruni. If you go back to the days of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, when he received the wahi from Sayyidina Jibreel alayhi salam, he came back to Sayyida Khadija. He was telling her Zammiluni Dathiruni because he was feeling so cold. So it reflects the suffer and how winter is really so harsh and hard for the refugees who are staying in tents, the tents that are made out of plastic sheets. It doesn't prevent water, it doesn't prevent cold, and of course it won't prevent the wind.
Really, really heart rendering considering the circumstances. And we make dua that Allah Rabbul Izzah makes it easy for them.
And
Zainab, Assalamu alaikum. Tell us about yourself.
وعليكم السلام. أنا اسمي زينب، عمري 11 سنة، عايشة بلبنان. كنت أنا جاية من المدرسة. ضلت رفيقتي لين بالمدرسة. انهدمت المدرسة عليها وتوفت رفيقتي لين. أنا زعلت كتير عليها. جيت على المخيم، صار عندي رفقات كتير بس هي ما نسيتها.
So mainly Zainab, she's 11 years old. She's a Syrian refugee staying in Lebanon. She's part of Aman school, alhamdulillah. Zainab's story is that mainly she was at school in Syria. After she finished, she left the school, but her friend Lynn stayed behind. And then the school was bombed. Unfortunately, she lost her friend Zainab. Her friend. So she came to Lebanon. She met new friends. She made a lot of relationships. But to this day, she will never forget her friend.
Zainab, what would you like to be when you're big? What do you want to study?
بس أكبر بدي أصير مهندسة لأرجع أعمر سوريا ومدرستي وبيتي اللي اتدمر، وغرفتي اللي كنا نقعد فيها أنا ورفيقتي لين.
So inshallah, her dream is to become an engineer. So she will be able to rebuild Syria, to rebuild her house, to rebuild her school where she lost her friend, and to rebuild especially the room where she used to play with her friend Lynn.
So touching. Will she read for us or recite a nasheed or a recitation from the Quran?
شو حفظتي من سورة الفاتحة تقريبا إياها؟ شو حفظتي؟ يلا بلش.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. القارعة ما القارعة وما أدراك ما القارعة يوم يكون الناس كالفراش المبثور وتكون الجبال كالعهد المنفوش فأما من ثقلت موازينه فأمه هاوية وما أدراك ما هي. خربطت.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah, Tabaraka. Hamza, are you going to recite for us or are you going to read a nasheed? I think read a passage from the Quran.
جزء عما يلا من سؤال قصير حافظ الضحى
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس.
MashaAllah. Beautiful. The recitations are very, very touching and beautiful. And his nasheed, Yaman's nasheed was very, very touching. Umar, perhaps you could just give us more information about the situation in the refugee camps in the Beqa Valley, as well as in, where these kids come from, and also the circumstances of the Syrians in Lebanon.
Okay, so mainly, if we look at these three kids, they know how to interact with us. They know how to speak. They know how to recite. Before they went to Aman School of Excellence, they couldn't even know how to introduce themselves because the environment they live in, it's so closed. They don't know how to read, they don't know how to write. There's nothing to do actually in the camp other than sitting. So mainly living in such circumstances, you are so closed, you don't meet new people, you don't get introduced to others. It will make this weak personality that will affect all your future. And this is the situation mainly of most of the kids that are staying in the camps. So Alhamdulillah, through the generosity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the donors who sponsored these kids and other than them and other kids that we already have in South Africa, but they weren't able to come with us, their life changed. And they started building their future. This is what Aman School of Excellence aims for, building futures. Because when we are sponsoring a child, we are sponsoring a dream. And this dream, sponsoring it's like sadaqa jariyah. It will go from generation to generation. And through education, it's the only way to break the cycle of poverty. When we give these children education, we are giving them life. We are breaking the poverty they are living in.
I want to tell you something about Aman School. Aman School is very special school in Lebanon. It's have many refugees people, Syrians, Palestinians, and Aman School help 650 children to build her dream. If you sponsor a child, you not sponsor only child, you sponsor a dream, and the dream make a generation.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. Yes, very well said. And that in itself is an encouragement for people to sponsor the children of the Aman School. Hafiz Hassan, perhaps you can come in here from Africa Muslim Age point of view. When did the agency get involved in Lebanon and with the Syrians, and what sort of activity has AMA been involved in over the years in Syria, in Lebanon, and taking care of the refugees in different parts of the world?
Alhamdulillah, with regards to Lebanon itself, Alhamdulillah, I think it's close to 10 years that the organization has a footprint in Lebanon with a permanent team, office structure, and teams on the ground who undertake various campaigns and projects on a daily basis. There's many campaigns in terms of rehabilitation, in terms of sustainability, in terms of empowering. This is one such campaign of Orphan Hope, where we assist kids, in terms of the day-to-day needs, and then taking them, giving them a chance at education. Alhamdulillah, these kids that we brought to South Africa, the first of its kind, perhaps, is not just for these 10 children. Alhamdulillah, they have sponsorship, but they're here to give a message of there's hundreds, like Zainab spoke about her friend who's now deceased, Allah grant Jannah, but there's many of their brothers, sisters, younger children staying in the camps, and when they wake up in the morning, they are waking up to fend for their lives. They're waking up to come the end of the day, there's food on the table. Remember, in the camp life, Malana, in many of the managed or unmanaged camps, most of these camps is widows and children. Because of the war that's ravaged their country so many years, most of the men folk has either been physically challenged because of being part of collateral damages, suppose, or they don't or they lost their lives. So in most of the camps, you find widows and children. And come the end of the month, these ladies or widows or mothers still have to pay rent for their space of the living, which is smaller than this studio. And in the size of the studio, for example, is the living room, the bedroom, the dining room, the bathroom, which is a pit in the corner, and the kitchen. And come the end of the month, they still have to pay. Now, when you wake up in the morning and all you worry is about your child and putting food, when you talk about food, we're not talking about a dish that's cooked. We're talking about bread, pita, just a bread or hummus or something just so they can have some sort of nourishment, zaatar perhaps, come the end of the day. And come the end of the month, unfortunately, especially in the unmanaged camps, when they're unable to pay the rent, sometimes abuse happens. And that's why when we give a child a chance of education to go to Aman School, Mufti, it's not just giving them a chance to go to school, but to resolve the dynamic of the entire home. Now, that mother is no more placed in a vulnerable situation come the end of the month to pay rent. The entire family is being seen to because of the sponsor for the school. So when this child wakes up in the morning, He's not worried about going to walk the streets to sell nylon or scratch the bins to find something in the bin to take home to eat. He goes to school and has a chance at education. Alhamdulillah.
What does it cost to sponsor a child?
For the school, for Aman school, is 16,000 rand per child per year. Now we think about 16,000 rand per child per year. We think about the school fees we're paying. Remember, Aman school is not just a school; it's one of the first of its kind in Lebanon, registered with the relevant departments, but probably the first school in Lebanon that allows integration of Syrian, Palestinian, and Lebanese kids. Children in the school. You have educators, Syrian as well as Lebanese, of the highest caliber. But giving a child education, you give, for example, Yaman the best English teacher, the best accounting teacher, the best mathematics, Islamic history, hifz, tafsir, may not resolve his issue, because many of these kids live in a traumatic environment. They either witnessed their parents being traumatized or abused, or personally have been abused in some way. So many of them have mental trauma which need to be unraveled and unpacked. And so, to couple with the education, we have skilled professional psychosocial services support that helps the kids deal with the mental trauma. Zainab still talks about her friend that passed away many years ago. We have a brother Amin with us as well on tour. He was 5 years old in Syria. He went to school. When he came back, his parents, when he left in the morning, his parents were home having breakfast. He went to school. He came back. There was no home. The house had been shelled. His parents were buried under the rubble and already buried. When he came home, he asked, "Where's my parents? Where's my house?" They said, "No, they were bombed and we buried them already." Now imagine the mental trauma that young man has. So we have a psychosocial service support that deals with this, that helps them couple with their education. Alhamdulillah.
May Allah Rabbul Izzah accept the efforts of the Aman School and AMA, take from strength to strength, and inshallah we call on the donors to continue contributing.
Amen.
And Jazakumullah khair for bringing them to the radio station.
A pleasure, and certainly a pleasure for us to be here. We certainly honored to be coming to Radio Islam Studios and to be amongst the senior presenters and well-known presenters here. And thank you for your time. And we look forward to, inshallah, the message goes across that, if anything, if we can, like you spoke earlier, Mullah, we can change one child's dream, is changing an entire family's, a future generation, inshallah.
Alhamdulillah, Aman School help 650 children, but in camps and tents, we don't have only 650. We have more than many children go to work because he don't have education. Go to hard job because he don't have education, and get married in a younger age.
Yes, as you indicate, Hamza, the challenges that those in the camps face, and inshallah through the contribution of the donors, those challenges can be alleviated. We request you all to make dua for the Muslims in South Africa and the Muslims across the globe. May Allah accept all your du'as and aspirations. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum assalam.
So this was the group from Lebanon at the studios of Radio Islam, giving us insight into their lives. May Allah Rabbul accept all their efforts and all the efforts of the donors.